Hello everybody, it's the Alco Diesel Guy with another video for you, and in this case you can tell it's clearly an N-scale video with this model. I should back up a little bit and explain. I came back again a couple of days ago now, I can't believe how fast time has been flying, from the Great Train Extravaganza held up in Albany, New York at the Convention Center in the, quote, egg room, as some call it, or basically known as the egg. Had a pretty good time there. Selection was not quite as good as I remember it, but not bad either, in my opinion. I've seen it better, but I've also seen it worse. Now that said, this is one of the projects I picked up. As we can note here, the price is not what I paid. It says $79. It originally had a decoder in it. The decoder is scratched out, and it says not working. I'm assuming the problem, therefore, with this locomotive is that it doesn't actually have a functioning decoder, and that's why it's not running. But there's only one way to find out. So let's get going with that. And again, just so anyone's curious, that video should be up by now, but if it isn't or you haven't seen it, I will give a bit of a spoiler alert. I didn't pay much at all for this engine. I bought this along with a locomotive that was priced originally at around $100 and paid just about $110 for it, plus this locomotive and plus a caboose. So I got a pretty good deal here on this engine. Now just carefully wiggling the spree. I haven't actually taken this out of the box yet, which has probably been a smarter idea when I was at the train show. Not all the vendors will let you do that though. I got burned with an RS-11. You'll see that in that video. Check that out if you're curious as to how that went. Looking at it first glance, a sharp contrast to my RS-11, the D&H one I picked up there. This is in actually pretty good shape. I've got all of my railings in place. I've got the couplers in place. Get a little bit more light on here. Yeah, physically it looks good. But again, I'm told it doesn't work, and again, I'm assuming, especially considering that notable little note here on the box that says not working, and it originally has decoder there scratched out, tells me that this may have been a customer return to that particular vendor, and the gentleman was just trying to liquidate it, which is probably why I got such a good deal on it. I'm not really much of a fan of the switcher type engines, anyone who knows me, and if you've seen my layout, you probably have. You haven't probably seen the N-scale layout just as of yet. I'm still working on a film for that. I may do something, just a quick little video, just to give a tour of what I've done to that. It's come out really nice. That said, however, I have a decoder for this particular type of engine I bought by mistake, which is what drew me toward this, and the fact that this was a good deal. In the end, I got an even better deal on it, and that's the reason why I went for it. So anywho, without further ado, I've got my test track out here hooked up to my DCS-50, which is an older Digitrax unit. I'm going to go ahead now and place this down on the rerailer. I'm going to zoom you guys out so you can see a little bit more here. Let me switch off there. Actually, I'll just keep it right like that, and I'll just move you into the shot as my camera is being dumb. Here, I'm just going to rerail her. Got a piece of Bachmann Easy Track here. I'm going to now try her on 3 and see if I get any kind of response from this thing at all, so I know what I'm dealing with here. And it's dead as a dodo. Okay, when in doubt, grab the programming track, which I do have hooked up to this as well, and try to reset the decoder, or try to reprogram it. Let me actually try the cab number before I do anything else. 9626. 9626. See if that does anything. Not a zip zilch. What I'm trying to do now, just to clarify what's going on here, for those who may have just skipped into this point, is I'm trying to figure out whether this engine's decoder is in fact the problem, or whether it's a pickup issue. So I've got my programming track down now. Gonna now go to program on this and see if I can reset this thing. DIR program, let's go to CV8. CV8. Right. Nope, it's not talking to it. That's not a good sign. Okay. So it appears this decoder is not in good shape here. Let's try one more thing. I'm going to try just programming it to just an address. I don't think that'll work, but you try. Let's go to address number 4. And I'm going to actually just program to address number 3 to see if I can get it to work. Nope, it's not talking to it. That is not a good sign. Most likely this decoder is fried. So what I'm going to do next is just take a look at this, do a quick overview of it. Doesn't look like there's anything disconnected or bad on it. I guess the next step from this point on is to go ahead and get into the locomotive itself and see if there's anything lighting underneath the surface that is preventing it from functioning. Let me grab from my little tray of tools over here, my trusty little sponger. And these things are cheap. They're like less than 25 cents a piece. Using a screwdriver to open one of these units, or to work with one of these locomotives, I should say, in general, when it comes to working with the frame, when it comes to working with the shell, etc., is just plain idiotic. It's going to do damage to it. It's going to even if you don't get damage done, then you're going to do it to it eventually. It's going to weaken it. You need to get one of these spongers. There's just no way around it. So strongly advised, get yourself a sponger and use it to help yourself out. What I do now is I'm going to try to find a gap here to gently pry these open. There we are, finally. Oh. Okay, so this thing gave me a hard time getting apart. That could be a good news or bad news. Let me just slip this truck back in place. That was much more challenging than I would have appreciated it to have been, but I did get it apart. So let's see what we got here. This is a standard DCC decoder. Nothing fancy here. I'm right now checking to see if the problem is with the decoder itself. I'm going to move this decoder around a bit, see if there's a contact issue. Then I'll try putting it back on my power track and see if I can get any kind of response from it. Actually, let's do the program track and see if I can just make it respond to a programming request. Let's go again. Prog. Let's go 3. Actually, no, escape. I don't want to do that. Exit. Prog. Loco 3. CVRW. Oh, you see that light? Haha! There's a light. So let's see if this now works. I'm wondering if that was just it, the decoder not making good contact. So now I'm going to pull my programming track out of here. I'm just going to move Mr. Shell here. Again, note I got the shell out without any damage at all, which I'm stunned with, but considering how difficult that shell did not want to let go of its locomotive. Very well, but I got it done. Let's get the programming track back in place here and give this thing a shot. So now we got her on the track. The light is working, that's for sure. Let's see if I have control, if I can switch the other direction. No, it's not responding to those commands. Well, I'm in programming mode, that explains it. Helps to get out of programming mode, folks. Just a little note there. Just testing you. Back into 3. And it won't move. Let's see if I can change directions and get a different light. Okay, no, it's staying on that one. Oh, it's blinking when I go into reverse, though. It does flash here. So this tells me the decoder is most likely at fault. It is not a pickup problem, which actually is good news because that makes the problem a little bit easier to sort out. Let's try that again. Nothing. Before I wasn't getting anything. Now it's doing something. Let's try the old address and see if that maybe somehow stayed in place. Loco 9626. Loco. Nope, nothing. And one more time for good luck on number 3. Okay, so very clearly this decoder is shot. Let me actually do one last thing. I'm going to try resetting the decoder now. Remember, again, I did try this before when I had the thing out, when I had the engine initially on the tracks before I took the shell off, and I didn't get any kind of response from it. Sometimes resetting these to 8 is actually all you need to do to get them up and running. Though that usually isn't a good sign, in my opinion. It means the decoder, while it may have not failed yet, or is on its way to fail, or is pretty much dead now, you're just getting a temporary reprieve. God, I can't speak today, pardon me. Okay. Let's go to Program, Direct Mode, and let's go to CV8. Let's write that. Okay, talk to it. I didn't get an error. That's definitely a good sign. Let's go to 3 again. Get rid of my programming track. Reason why I do it on 2 different tracks is the programming track has a better luck 9 out of 10 times trying to get these locomotives running again after they've been made inoperative for whatever reason. Let's go to loco number 3. Oh, I locked it in place. I gotta hit loco again. Ah, that's a good sign. Ah, ha, ha, ha. There we go. So it looks like this was simply a decoder that needed to be reset. It is a little rough running, but it does work. So just like that, I fixed it. That's almost disturbingly too easy. What I'm going to do here is I think I'm going to leave this decoder in place for the time being. If it does fail, I'll drop the other one in. Meantime, what I'm going to do next is reprogram this to the cab unit number. But actually, first I'm going to put the shell back on. So let me carefully lift this up and put my shell back in place if I can remember how this goes. Oh, another smart move, which I didn't do, which I should have, but I'm not smart, so I don't do those things, is to make sure you understand which direction the whole assembly goes before you go through all the trouble of disassembling something, so you know how to put it back in. I believe it's like that. Yep, that is. And there it is. It's back together. I'm going to now take my programming track and program her. It is crazy how sometimes it just takes that much to get one of these engines going. So, let's go program this engine. Go into my program mode, direct again, and we're going to choose the 4-digit address because this is that one. It's 9626. Program, right, CV right. I heard it click, so that's good. Oh, well, it actually might help if I took it off my programming track. Ugh. You see, folks, I'm just testing you there, just so you know. That's all I was doing. I knew that. Ugh. You can tell I'm tired, right? Let's go again. Loco 9626. Let's go and put her in reverse and see if she does anything. Try to get you better in the shot. I'm hoping this comes out pretty well. I'm trying a new camera again. Let's see our light for reverse. That light works. And the locomotive works. Yep. And so apparently the problem was just contacts, apparently with the decoder board itself. And after a reset, that seemed to fix the problem. This track, though, I got to fix here. Yeah, oh, this is a bad bump. That's why it's doing that. Might also help if I actually put the truck on track correctly. That really helps the locomotive's performance. There we go. That's much better. But now, as we can see, it's running, and it's running better as I move it back and forth, which is typical for an engine that's been in storage. And so, just like that, I have a fully functioning engine. And I was actually all set to replace the decoder. Just to prove I wasn't bluffing, I do have that decoder sitting right here. I'm going to make a liar out of me. Famous last words. Here it is. I do have it sitting right here. This was the decoder I had planned to stuff in there because I had this from an accidental purchase I made on Amazon. But again, I won't need it because this is working fine. So, just like that, by simply going into address 8, reprogramming this, like many have found, I was able to get this working. It appears though it did have a contact problem, which I resolved by simply moving the decoder a few inches, and that fixed everything. And so with that, I now have a fully repaired locomotive. I'm not going to say that this decoder, I should back up a little bit and say not quite necessarily fully repaired. As I said, when you reset these decoders, I find that or when you have to reset them occasionally, I find that means the decoder is starting to head on its way out of town, if you know what I mean. Meaning it's running out of its lifespan. It's going to need to be replaced eventually. So this might just be a temporary fix. What I do know now is it does work, and I'm going to run it like this for a while and see how it functions. I'm not crazy about switchers, but I guess I'm going to find time to run this just to make sure I fixed it right. So anyway, back in this goes. If I can figure out how it goes in this plastic container here without ruining anything. Oh, there it is. That's how it goes. It goes in like this. Strange padding. No, it doesn't go like that. Yeah, that's how it must go right here. Okay, that's how it goes in. I think, yep, that must be it. I'm going to probably take this right back out of the box. I don't know why I'm putting it back in, but I just did. Foam isn't the worst place to keep these things in, so it's nice and safe. And now I'm going to do one more ceremonial thing. Grab the top to this little box right here and get rid of this little decoder not working thing. And the original $79.99 price tag, whoever originally bought it from the vendor paid. So I know now that this is in fact working. I don't actually have to rip it all the way off, just as long as I know it does function. And there we are. And so just like that, I have repaired the engine, didn't spend a single cent on it, just a few seconds of my time. A few moments of my time, to be honest, but still, you can't go wrong with that. Oh, decoder ready, so I got a note on myself, this has a decoder in it. That's going to do it for this video, folks. I hope you liked it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If not, feel free to thumbs down it as well. Thank you very much again for watching, and as always, keep the metal side down. Okay, we got 10 Jesus tank.